1:30 p.m. City Council meeting. At this time, we will stand for the pledge and prayer. Councilman Hooley. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please pray with me. Father, we thank you for today. Father, we thank you for all the things that are right about the city. Yes. Father, your word says, with thanksgiving, let our requests be made known. And Father, we are thankful. We're thankful for all the things that are going well, the peace and prosperity that we enjoy. Father, we ask for your wisdom as we deal with those things in our purview and in the city that require attention and wisdom. Father, we earnestly desire your wisdom. Father, we pray for our first responders as their line of work is at times inherently dangerous. Guard and guide them, grant them wisdom. Father, be with us as we consider the issues before this council today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
At this time, we will have any questions or comments from citizens. And I see none, so, but I would like to say something. I just want to say thank you so much to the staff that did so much work this weekend in every single department. And from Nicole, who I know took it on, from Public Works, from the police department, the fire department, communications, city manager, every department did so much, and I'm just so thankful that it went off smooth, and that we are doing things for the citizens because that's what they asked for, and it was great to see it all go together, even the fish fry. So I'm just very thankful for the staff that works so hard, and they do it because of the citizens, and I'm just thankful for that. And I just want to say that.
I will say it was not rigged that Winston won the car show.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He got best in show and best Mustang, so
Oh,
just reinforcing that was not
And
rigged.
Pete rode the bull.
that was fun. That's my last time too.
He wouldn't let me anywhere near the controller.
It's exciting to see
wait a
those
minute.
things
She
happen.
beat me to the punch. I want to echo the same sentiments. The staff and the city employees, the businesses that contributed to this past weekend.
Absolutely.
Super. And the only thing I regretted that I didn't take my Tupperware to the VIP room, because that was a lot of food.
It went great. And at this time, then we will go to the city manager's report.
So you'll know since we canceled our last meeting while we were all down at the Texas Municipal League Annual Conference, you did get 2 financial statements and 2 expenditures. This also splits the last report for the last fiscal year and then the first report for the first fiscal year. So we're just kind of 2 weeks into the new year, so I'm not going to talk about that. We're getting close to when we get into finance, we're starting to work on the year closeout, but that report's pretty close. There'll be a few expenses here or there. Overall, the general fund ended fiscal 23, $549,000 more in expenditures than revenue. But if you recall, we budgeted to be $760,000 under revenue for the transfer to 65 to purchase all the EMS equipment when we took over EMS. So we actually ended the year right now about $200,000 better than we had expected. I think some of that will come out in this coming year. We didn't get our Medicare number completely set up to receive any Medicare reimbursements on EMS in this fiscal year. That means that'll all come in on this budget year. So I expect EMS revenue to be higher than anticipated in this budget year. Water and sewer ended with $408,000 more in revenue than expenditures. Some of that was some delayed capital expenditures that'll get carried over and paid out of that, but we did well. Revenue was right on track with our budgeted in pretty much both funds. Hotel motel tax ended up above our 5-year average and above our original budgeted amount. Sales tax ended up $64,000 below our amended budget amount in fiscal '23, but we were down a little bit, and you know, we kind of had that little weird kind of up and down going, and that's continued into the first year. October sales tax collection was 21% above this time last year. So a little bit we were below last year. We've already made up in the first month so far this year. We do anticipate that continuing with the turnaround going on. Some of our bigger projects, of course, 10th Street is progressing along. I know that we've had a little bit of disruption with the gas company's project going on. That was a little bit of a surprise, but overall, I think it's a good thing. The project only had 2 conflicts with the gas system that were gonna have to be addressed, but the gas company decided to go ahead and replace everything in the area, which will be good. That will prevent them from having to tear up the new street and the new curb and sidewalk in the future. I know it was a little bit frustration right now as we've got one of those lanes closed and as they bore through that, but they are working through that, and we hope to have most of that back.
Do they, I mean, how long do you think that'll be?
Well, they said 2 weeks, and they said the contractor was gonna be working 7 days a week, but that has not been the case, so I'm thinking probably maybe closer to 3. But they do have the main south line bored and in place, so that's the bulk of the work and the hardest work, so hopefully that they can maybe make some progress. Milligan's back, they're working on now that all our utilities on the north side have been removed and replaced and taken care of, so now they're back. We'll start adjusting the grade and start on concrete work and actual street work. Working with the post office to remove the post office box there at the Mega Shopping Center. That apparently got dropped a little bit when we changed postmasters, so we're just a little bit behind there, but I don't think that will delay any of the projects. So for the most part, everything's still on schedule. None of the gas company delays aren't impacting the overall project schedule. It's just kind of a little bit of the access and inconvenience for the businesses. And I know that Deidre's been doing a good job, and we do encourage everybody to remember that they're still there.
Yeah.
There's still good access from 9th Street and the cross streets, so they're still pretty easy to get to, maybe just not the way that you're used to. Of course, when it's all done, it will be worth it, like everything always is, but there is never a good way to do big street projects. Huber Park, the new play equipment is going in at Huber Park. They've been struggling just a little bit with their contract supplier, but they're still on track. I do hope to have a ribbon cutting the first weekend in November. We'll know better by the end of this week if we'll be able to make that date. But that is the goal. There's been a lot of interest in that, so I think, and that's a pretty big project, so I think that warrants a little bit of a more formal process there. So if you recall, that's going to be all inclusive play equipment, so it's wheelchair accessible for a good chunk of it. We've got some swings coming in that you'll be able to secure child's in so that they can swing without coming out, and it's got that big nice new music area, and even I'll be interested to see it. It's a modern merry-go-round that's supposed to prevent and provide the safety so the kids don't get sucked up under it. So
Might try that out.
Will it have slides? Because I haven't seen it.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah,
I thought so, but I couldn't remember.
Yeah, the bigger part's on the backside, which is just now kind of going up, and then it's got a shade structure that's attached to it too to help give some shade to the
that's
play
good.
equipment. So that should be pretty good. The survey crew should be out to the Johnson Park Youth Center this week or next to start the survey, which is the first phase in getting the plans designed for the swimming pool enhancement project that's going on. We have completed the survey for the Main Street pass-through park, so they're working on plans for that. We should have the 60% plans to review on that in probably about a month or so. So we're making progress on that. That should be ready to bid out and start construction once the winter weather is good, and so we hope to have that park completed and ready for late summer or early fall next year. Departments are staying pretty busy in plane development. Of course, if you've driven out by 1551, you can see the Jackson Hot Oil project going in at the corner of the business park. So they've got their permit and they've got their footings and working on their foundation for that, so that's going pretty well. The new RV park on East Sixth Street has opened, and actually
Practically full.
it's full, and I think it's pretty nice. That kind of shows you what an RV park can kind of look like with our newer regulations. So it's actually, I think, looks pretty nice compared to what we're used to seeing around here. So I think everybody should be relieved with that a little bit. Yucca Park, we're just working on a quorum to get that replat put in place, so that the plat should be approved this month. So then we can start working with those developers on incentive agreements to get that housing development done. I believe they've got their finalists selected for the second code enforcement officer that's being added as part of the fiscal '24 budget. So they've been doing interviews, and we'll be making that selection here shortly. We're actually still having pretty good use of the lawn maintenance kits that we put out there, so that's been good as well. And they've also been staying pretty busy with residential inspections for a lot of little residential projects that are going on throughout the community. Of course, Michelle and HR, we've been busy with our insurance RFPs and analysis, and we'll talk about that a whole lot here a little later, so I'm gonna talk about that. And we've also been, she's also been busy with some postings, and as we fill some of these jobs going into next year, we have been making some progress on filling staff. So we've been getting a little better applications, and we're making some pretty good headway with that. Solid Waste is actually full staff now for the first time in a while. Fire department's just down one right now, and the police department's recruit program is taking applications and should
How many we short in the police department?
5
Four?
with the one that's in background.
Yeah, we offered a position to him today, so 4 now.
They were 5 apparently until this
Okay.
morning.
You're 6 hours late, aren't you?
So we are making progress in all of that. Public engagement, of course, they've been quite busy lately. Of course, we talked a little bit earlier about Boomtober Fest, and I'll echo what the council said. You know, definitely proud of all the involvement and coordination between staff and everybody that's there. You know, the only complaint I heard in the whole weekend was on Sunday because the vendor ran out of to-go boxes, and the guy that went back through to take a second meal home didn't have a to-go box and had to take it home on a plate instead of a to-go box. So if that's the only complaint I heard, I'll consider that a win. We're also just about to finish with our upcoming resident guide, which will kind of be a book to, you know, those common city services and how to do things, where the transfer station is, what you can take, what you can't take, limb pile, how to start water service, how to file a complaint, what needs permits, things like that. So we're kind of excited to have that.
That's great.
Our little Tall Tales tour tested very well and sold out in a day with our limited seats. So we're kind of scrambling, not being.
Is that just gonna be one weekend? I mean, that's it, huh? One
We're gonna
weekend?
end up doing multiple events, because like he said, we sold out like the first day. And so
Yeah.
we know there's a lot of people that wanna do that, and Clay with the museum, he's excited to partner with us. So I think it kind of serves multiple purposes. Obviously, it's something to do, but it also gets people a little bit more in tune with our history, and at the same time, like from the economic development standpoint, it shows them some of these vacant buildings and the potential of what's in there. So we're gonna definitely make it more of a thing. So there should be some things coming out pretty soon on dates and things like that. So stay tuned.
And that's, you know, that was part of the justification and the reason, you know, we wanted to buy the van so that we could support some of these things. We're also talking about maybe doing a welcome wagon type event, to where once a quarter we host an event for new residents where we can take them around and show them, you know, this is where City Hall, this is where you go to do this is where the sheriff's office is, these are some good places to, these are where the parks are, and a bunch of things like that. So I think that that's pretty good. We're also working on a 2024 event list, so we can get all of that stuff kind of squared away, what our kind of recurring events are, so that we know. Deidre's also been working with the high school. They're gonna do a reality check event with the seniors out at the Dome. It's kind of like a life skills type thing. They'll have a bunch of different vendors, you know, set up in the Dome that represent different, you know, like apartments and grocery stores, and then you get a set budget, you know, you get a job, and then you kind of have to go around and pick and choose. So if you want this apartment, then you've got to, you know, pay the bills. If you can't pay the bills, you got to go talk to the bank and get a loan. And then once you get the loan, you got to go talk and make sure that you've got the money to pay the loan. And then you kind of get scored at the end of it with how you did through everything. So that's, I think, will definitely be some well-used and needed skills. We've also been working, we talked about this, I think, a little bit, but we're getting closer to the Lemonade Day. And so that's in partnership with the EDC. So Lemonade Day is a program for small kids under second grade to kind of teach about entrepreneurship. So it's a franchise program, but it comes with a bunch of guides, so the kids have to like come up with a recipe for their own lemonade, and they have to come up with a business plan for how they're gonna make the lemonade and sell the lemonade, and they have to make a stand, you know, to market and sell their lemonade, and then they have opportunities for all these different awards, you know, throughout those categories, who had the best stand, who had the best lemonade, and things like that. So trying to get them kind of exposed to how business works and those entrepreneurial skills a little earlier on in life to get them thinking early. So we're excited about that. Of course, later this month is the Halloween Carnival on Halloween out at the Johnson Park Youth Center in the Dome area. So, and you know, just for the mayor's peace of mind, we will make sure that we have extra cake so that you don't have to go buy
Don't
anymore.
make me not say there's no more cakes, don't make me.
But so I would.
It wasn't a cakewalk.
And with just all of that, I would remind, you know, some of the feedback we've had this weekend is that people didn't know about it. We didn't advertise it. You know, we have advertised these things in every possible way. It's been on billboards, it's been on the news, it's been on the radio, it's been on all the social media things. I would just kind of remind people there again, you know, you have to be susceptible to that advertising for it to work. So, you know, it's been the Boomtown Beat that, you know, we put out quarterly. But this is a good time for me to remind you that there is a Borger, Texas app.
Yeah.
That if you just go to Borger, if you go to the App Store and search Borger, Texas, there's a city app with all the events listed, and you can even set up notifications. There's the Visit Borger website now at visitborger.com that takes care of all of that, plus borgertx.gov. I mean, we really have done everything we can to advertise in as many different ways as possible, so I'm sorry that some people didn't see it, but you've got to be looking to see something, so. Of course, finance has been busy as we've transitioned into the new fiscal year, you know, resetting everything and then working on closing out the year. We hope to have that closed out by the end of the month. You know, there's still just a few, you know, sometimes invoices are a little late coming in for those vendors that bill every 30 days. So the September invoices hit sometime in October. So we got to get some of those rectified and paid before we fully close out the year, but we're making good progress on that. We're probably going to be about 2 months ahead of schedule from where we have been doing it, so that's always exciting for me to
That's great.
get those things updated. We also have executed our agreements with Encode, our current software provider, to move to the cloud and move to the Encode 10 enhanced product, which will help us in a lot of different ways. It'll make the financial software more accessible. It'll make some improvements to utility billing as well, and even on the employee side, they'll be able to get pay stubs and W-2s and all that in an employee portal to where they don't always have to come in and get it. We're still about a year out on that. You know, there's a big long list in that conversion. Once that happens, I will just warn the council that the financial reports will start looking different. I think for the better. They won't look like they were written on a typewriter.
Yeah.
But we're excited. I know a lot of us are excited for that change and having a little more usability of data there. In the police department for animal control, we've got our new animal control officer started last week, so they're back up to full strength after our other officer moved over to dispatch. So there again, you know, we talked about that. We always like being able to promote and give professional development to our employees. They've also got their new purifier in, which is part of the process that we're trying to help with the distemper problem that's going around in the county right now. I know if you've seen on Facebook, we, you know, had a owner surrender that lied about a dog with distemper and got it into the shelter, and so we're definitely dealing with that. If we talk about that in the fee schedule, we're going to start vaccinating every animal that comes into the shelter for that and just pass the cost along if it's reclaimed. So, you know, it is responsible pet ownership. I don't necessarily want to get on that soapbox, but people should be mindful of that. Of course, the police department, along with fire and the other emergency services, participated in National Night Out while we were all down in Dallas, but that went really good. Of course, I mentioned earlier that the recruit position is open right now, so they're taking the applications. They'll be testing later this month for our next round of police recruits. The one from last year, Officer Wyatt Lay is in field training, progressing quite well. We also have, well, my note from yesterday was new hire and background, but apparently he's passed the background and has been offered a job, so we're a little pressed up with that. Police department also hosted, in conjunction with the FPC, a use of force and a legislative update class last month. The Motors Unit also assists with the Stinnett Celebration Day. And then they did a drone demonstration to Paul, at the Paul Belton. So, you know. I guess when I was little, you wanted to see the flashing lights on the car. I guess now you want to see the drones. So times are changing. Public Works, of course, a lot of help going on with Boomtoberfest over the last couple of weeks as they work to get ready for that. They've been assisting with the contractor out in Huber Park. The splash pad for Buena Vista Park should be probably starting construction next week. So it'll be done just in time to winterize it and be ready for next next summer. We're also starting to get geared up and get equipment to replace the walking rungs on the Huber Park Bridge. So I know some people, you know, that's kind of weird a little bit. So that's been in the plan for a while. So we are about to rehabilitate the bridge there at Huber Park. Still seeing a lot of use of the bulk trailers, of the self-help refuse trailers. So that program seems to be going really well. And I know it's a lot easier on our staff than dealing with the roll-offs. So we're lucky to see that. Johnson Park Youth Center, of course, in addition to getting ready for the carnival and all that, they're also looking into some volleyball leagues, some recreational volleyball leagues coming up, so we're excited about that as well. Fire department, EMS is having an inspection this week. That'll also get our third ambulance fully licensed, so we'll have that third ambulance available. It's been able to be used as a maintenance spare, like, you know, swap out, but this will be its actual full license, so if we need to call in part-time staff or have additional staffing for it, we will be able to have 3 ambulances, so that'll be a good thing. Phillips 66 hosted a rail car hazmat class with the fire department, and 2 shifts were able to go through that. Of course, they also participated in National Night Out. And of course, we had Fire Prevention Week, and they had a bunch of different school programs, and the Edith trailer got around. We had that open house event at the fire department, had some pretty good attendance for Fire Prevention Week. The new aerial ladder is the cab's getting wired, and it is still progressing down the assembly line. We don't quite have a final delivery date yet, but it is still making progress, so we hope to not have too many big delays with that, have it by the end of the year. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints had another painting weekend, painting fire hydrants for us, volunteering to paint fire hydrants, so we appreciate their help with that. B Shift was able to complete their live fire training in Amarillo. Each shift does live fire training once a year, so the other 2 are scheduled here in the short term, so we're starting to get through that. Captain Hart completed his basic fire investigator through the state's testing. Mitigation is busy, kind of getting the last of some fuel reduction, like mowing, the last of the mowing done, and they're starting to prep some of the high danger burn areas for later this winter, spring, when we kind of do that hazard reduction, which we're definitely going to need after all the rain this year. Fire department also did a Toys for Tot drive in conjunction with the other fire departments in the county. We're able to raise $1,500 for Toys for Tot this year, so it's a good thing for them. And then they helped the Chamber of Commerce with their golf ball drop on the windiest day of like the last 4 months. Emergency management, the IT department's been, Dustin's been doing pretty good transitioning into his new GIS position. They're working on apps for mitigation and fire assessments. As part of our FireWise program, we have to, do fire mitigation, and so the GIS system with the right app as part of that, they'll be able to enter the assessment from the phone, tie it to that geographic location, and then they can also use an app to map the fire locations and the fire areas as we look for be more prepared for mitigation grants and things like that, and to maintain our FireWise certification. So it's kind of good to see that coming. We are re-repairing the radar that was damaged in shipping, so now it's...
Which, the weather?
The what? The weather radar?
Internet.
Yeah. So Pantex is still, they still want to do it. They still think it's worthwhile. So we're just kind of working through that. But I guess, they had the little power issue we've been dealing with, so they sent it back to get it fixed. And as the way that Whistler put it, and in a way that nobody other than Whistler could put it, he's like, well, apparently in shipping, what was broke got brokener. So they are working through that. In dispatch, Sydney completed her NINA dispatch supervisor course. as we continue to focus on professional development there. They also participated in the National Night Out. Dispatcher Brunson's still out after her wreck in Oklahoma, but she's, I think, finally getting close to about being released. And we'll be excited to have her back. And our newest dispatcher completed her FTO with a 95% ProQA accuracy, which is the protocol software accuracy, so that's pretty good for a new hire to achieve that, so we're excited about that. In the fire marshal's office, of course, Pinder was busy, all week and the weeks before getting ready for public fire prevention and dealing with all that public engagement, so you probably, so not one of those things, if you haven't seen him around or you didn't see the Edith trailer driving around or something, you probably were just under a rock or keeping your eyes closed, but he.
I saw a lot of kids on Facebook in the Edith trailer.
Yeah. So, well, that's just
Yeah,
good. It shows
it
he was
is,
doing his
yeah.
job, so that's good for that. I will say that I didn't know that they made those, but I think the biggest hit at the open house was in part of that Project Shield. We started doing that Project Shield to get those donations into city funds instead of doing just the National Fire Prevention Councils where we're stuck with their books or their items. So we had that money that was free, and this year he bought pink plastic fire helmets, which seemed to be a big hit at the fire station with all the fire girls looking at that. So I was excited to see some of our new little things, bring
Yeah.
smiles to some faces.
Absolutely.
Of course, OEM has been working with the National Weather Service for fire. They're getting ready to have a Fire Partners tabletop. So we're looking at trying to get that to the Dome and being a host to that. So that will be pretty good. They've also got a grant that will get us some Narcan for the police department for law enforcement use, to be used in case we have any drug overdoses or things like that. So that was a pretty good reach out. And then this Wednesday at the Dome, we're having our regional mitigation meeting, which normally brings in about 50 to 60 people. So we're definitely trying to be the leader in regional emergency management and showing off some of our facilities at the same time. Here pretty soon, you're probably, with EMS, you're probably going to see another ambulance purchase on the agenda. Right now, they are giving 36-month lead times for new ambulances. So it's going to be another one of those things that we're going to have to probably order well in advance, so don't be surprised.
Is that a national or is that state, because each state varies? Or?
It's national.
It's national.
And I think some of that, they're being a little, with the auto workers on strike right now too, that's impacting that. But at the rate we're going, our 2 new ambulances already have about 24,000 miles on them. Having ambulance 3, the medic 3 licensed will help with that because they're going to start using that for all the transfers to and from Amarillo and put the miles on the little older ambulance. But we definitely need to be prepared to start getting those into a rotation. So don't be surprised if in the next month or 2 we order that and then we'll probably forget about it for 3 years until it finally comes in. But those are in our 5-year CIP plan, but that's coming. In the courts, so now, I think I mentioned it last time, but in case you didn't know, both Michelle here is in a new position as record specialist, so we're kind of reorganizing the City Secretary's Courts Office, because that's in the same department, so that department will be Stella, Michelle, Linda, and Everly. Everly will be the primary court clerk. Michelle here will be the record specialist, which is kind of the up-and-coming City Secretary, so which is why she's over here learning how to take notes and do minutes, and probably horrified that I'm putting the spotlight on her, but she better get used to that. And then Linda's still in the front, so that'll give them some room to switch depending on when they can cover each other. So they'll have 4 people. They're all qualified to take payments or do certain things in courts and do all of that. So I would like to give both Michelle and Everly a little pat on the back. So they offered to give up a position. So we were going to hire that record specialist and hire a court clerk, and they both agreed that they felt the workload could be supported without that. So,
Great.
so they're getting a little bit of reward out of that too, but that is definitely part of that of our culture, to look for ways to improve. And I think they were scared of me for some reason. I didn't really think I was that scary, but apparently some people I am. And of course, they both did complete and pass their test for their the level 1 court certification. So definitely have some professional development and some good people over in the court. The court, with that change, the court will be changing its public hours. So the court hours starting next Monday will be Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 5:30, with the judge being here on most Thursdays. So that'll hopefully give people maybe a little bit of time before work or after work if they work those normal hours, and then give us some time on Fridays to catch up and take care of the paperwork. So we'll be putting that on Facebook and stuff, but those are gonna be the new court hours starting next week. In utilities, they've been pretty busy. The gas company's boring, hit a water line and the sewer line 3 times last week. So they've been working through that. Again, we are still back on the list to fine tune our, we found water, now we're just fine tuning where we want to position those wells, so we got a few more test holes coming, but that's moving pretty well too. So that's what I have for our monthly update. I'll answer any other questions you might have.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Really good. So if there's no questions, then we'll move on to the consent items 6 through 10. And if there's any questions or anything, if not, then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve consent items 6 through 10.
Second.
All in favor? And they pass. Item 11, consider and take appropriate action on an appeal from, I'm not sure how to say this word, Boise and Cornell Jones regarding the Building Standards Commission order to remove or demolish structure located at 603 East 11th, lots 14 and 15, Block 6, North Side addition to the city of Borger within 30 days. Mr. Byrd.
Yes, Mayor and Council. So we're here today, basically after dealing with this property for 3 years. We performed an administrative search warrant on this property in October of 2020 based on some evidence that was found during a routine roofing permit check. And since then, we've dealt with different owners. I will say we've mainly dealt with Mr. Cornell Jones here. And in this process, the building standards has met and met and met. In that, from the very 2 meetings, we asked for engineer and architectural drawings. Part of the slowdown was them deciding what they wanted to do at the building because they couldn't give us the drawings without knowing what they were going to do with it. We eventually got to the point where he was going to make it residential, and since then we've performed 4 different reviews on plans, and never was able to move on to the actual permitting process. Toward the end of this process, there was some work done inside the structure without a permit. We know that there was some framing work done in there. There was no foundation inspected on that, and we're still yet to see that at all. It was covered up, they put sheetrock up in there, and so it concealed everything, and so in that process we asked to go in there and see that. They did eventually open that up enough for us to see the electrical wiring, and there were still junction boxes behind the sheetrock. There were splices behind the sheetrock. There were still splices up in the attic, and so kind of like I said, toward the end there, I mean, we still struggled to get things accomplished. And I think building standards and our staff as well, you know, had just came to the limit. The property is still in a black condition. There has been metal that was put up on the building, but some of that metal is used metal, and it was also haphazardly put up. there's, like I said, there's still tons of electrical violations there. It's still, the crawl space is still open. I mean, they do have a board stuck in front of it with a couple of center blocks there. But that's, that's not doing much. So, through everything that we've dealt with in building standards, we would ask the city council to affirm their decision for demolition. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Any question? I don't think we have any now.
Okay.
So at this time, I'll open a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak, if you'll just give us your name.
Yeah, I'm Cornell Jones. I've been in compliance with the city, and now we done did everything they done asked us to do, and right now we're at the electrical. And Larry Bird, he sends tons of electrical done. You know what I'm saying? I mean, electrical problems. Well, he went in there, and the things that he pointed out was basically like 3 things. And me personally, I can fix it myself, but in compliance, I need an electrician on my own home. So like, I done tried to get an electrician, and what's been the problem is me trying to get in touch with an electrician and get it in the time frame that he wanted done. They telling me in a month, and I call electricians, and all the electricians is pushed out. I done had 2 electricians that I talked to that called the city of Borger, and one left a message, never got a response. The other one called, and spoke with a young lady, and they said they was gonna call him back, never called him back. So I'm really doing what I can do. I done put a lot of time and effort in this, and he said 3 years. Me and my wife done basically had this property for like a year in our name, so that's the only control that we done been able to gain to move forward in this situation. And in 2020, that's when the beginning of the COVID had hit. So it was a lot of things going on at that time. People not wanting to move, people afraid, people died. And now the economy is starting to, get back on track, as far as people moving around and stuff like that. But my thing is, I got a letter from an electrician that I'd like to share with you guys. Y'all can pass it around. But that's what he had wrote for me on my behalf. So I done talked to 2 electricians in case he didn't come through. I had another electrician, and he called and spoke with a young lady, like I said, and never got a response. The city said they was gonna call him back, and they didn't call him back. I don't know what all that's about, but I'm just in compliance with what they telling me to do. And I paid the taxes. I don't owe no taxes on the property. It's got a brand new tin roof. The skeleton is pretty much a complete remodel. I got some pictures right here. This the one up under contract, the deed. This and that guy died of COVID. You can kind of look at the inside. And here's the architectural drawings that they had flunked several times. So, and this is my architect right here. He graduated from the University of Houston, so I like to think he know what he's doing. These are the drawings, the architectural drawings. There's 2 of them, so you can kind of spread them. But I don't put a lot of time and effort in this place, and a lot of money too. With along missing a lot of my work and put my work on the line. So I don't live here in Borger. And I live in Amarillo, and I've been working down there in Midland, so I'm having to come down here, miss work, and attend these meetings. And so it's kind of hard, really, when you're calling somebody, you give me a month, and all these electricians tell you they several months, 4 or 5 months out. And then when you get an electrician, they try to get a permit. We can't get a permit because we ain't get no response. So, there it is right there. The electrician basically telling you if y'all can, review this and not demolition it, he'll be able to do the work, and that's all I'm asking. I couldn't come to work and, I couldn't come to the meeting in August because I was subpoenaed to go to trial, for my son going to court. And then, last month, I couldn't get off because we were short-handed. So as that come to the meeting, I lose my job, so I chose my job. In the building, like the electrician, he really didn't understand like what the city tripping on because he looking at it like there's not a lot of work that needs to be done here for this place to be finished. I got a brand new roof, everything is new. The whole shell is new. The electrical is new. What Larry was talking about was junction boxes that need covers. They had splices in it, and he only could point out like 2 or 3. And the other boxes, he made me go in there and cut the sheetrock where he could see the electrical wire. The problem was if the electrical wire was old, it's Romex. It's up to date. It's up to code. It's just a couple of small, tedious things that could be done in a certain amount of hours. And when I came in front of the board basically told me, once I'm done with this, I wouldn't have to come in front of you guys no more. So, like, I'm right here at the end, so I'm just really wanting to finish what I started.
Is anybody else? Anyone else?
You
have
said the electrician tried to make contact with the city. How come they didn't come down here?
He did, well, the city, I'm sorry about this, sir.
Okay, all right. But when you first started this project, you and I had a conversation about it, did we not?
Yes, sir.
And I told you that house was in pretty bad shape because that's where my wife used to live. And you made a comment, and I'm not going to repeat it here, but you made a comment, and I said it's not worth trying to redo because it's in pretty bad shape now.
Right.
It's not worth it because that's when my wife's family moved out because it was in bad shape. And I made a comment. I said, please think about it. Don't put a lot of time in there because that place is not worth it. And you made a comment about, trying to keep blacks from having a business. And I said, no. I said, it's not worth that. We talked about this. And I was hoping that you would listen. And every time I go over there, I go by there and I look at that. I look at the metal job that was put on the side, on the roof. Any type of big wind come on, it's gonna rip it off because half of the underwood is gone. It's rotten.
No, sir.
Yes.
I disagree.
I'll let you talk now. Let me
Okay.
talk. I went over there. I look at that every week. And I look at that, and that place, I'm just gonna say this. When I told you don't try to invest a lot of money in that, it'd been better if you put up a new building. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That building was in bad shape, and it's still in bad shape. Now, that's my opinion. Now I'll let you talk.
Well, what you was explaining about the building let me know that you haven't been in there in quite some time. Like what you was talking about might have been like 2 decades maybe. Because
No.
you were saying the kitchen,
In-law had the building. That's who you bought it from. Am I correct?
in-law.
Yeah, Charles.
Yeah, but that's over 20, like I said, like 20.
It doesn't matter. I still been in that building because it wasn't locked up.
Yes, it has
No,
been
it wasn't locked up for a while. I guarantee you it wasn't locked
No,
up.
but that's because of when it had the smoke from the outside never hit the inside smoke damage.
No.
So they cut deals now, but it went in there.
I could go in that building through the back door. I'm telling you, that's why I went in and looked.
Right.
And that's when I told you, don't put your money into this
Well, I'm
building.
not ready to,
Yeah.
well, that's the past. We talking about the present on how far the building done came. Like, far as this, the architect right here, he can tell you, like, how good of a shape it is in now. Like, all the rafters are 2x4s, like 2x6s throughout to support the ceiling. All the walls, the skeleton of the walls is 2x4 assisted up, you know what I'm saying, all the way around. So the building is pretty much been
What about the
restructured.
foundation?
The foundation is concrete foundation. The foundation is, there's no, no leads or anything like that. You can look in the pictures and kind of tell, and those
I
aren't
walked
just-
in and saw, pictures are good, but I've been in the building.
Well, I don't know, Mr. Loftus, I mean, like, me personally, I mean, I like to say that my house is fairly decent, and I like to say that this building is put together better than my house. I mean, most houses with 2x4s in the attic, there's 2x6s sistered up to the 2x4s. I mean, and the 10 was just there temporarily because it's got new windows all the way around. It's windows all the way around, brand new windows. Now, I know used windows all the way around the building, so that's just to keep from people from breaking in and stuff like that. I mean, like, the 10 isn't up there the greatest, you know, in the back, it looks decent, but in the front, that's basically there for people don't come by and bust the windows.
Okay.
I mean, I got a video, I can show you guys or whatever, kind of going through the building where you can kind of see what's what, but, I really don't understand because even the electrician looked at it and he said, this building really in pretty good shape, it don't need that much work. And that's where we at, is just on electrical. We done went through all this, now we on electrical. And then the city council said that I wouldn't have to come back to the meeting once the electrical is done, but this, why it's been taking so long is because he done failed all of his drawings, so for whatever reason, the property, if somebody wants the property, because the taxes is paid up, I'm not understanding it. He's saying it's a nuisance and habitant and bring danger to the neighborhood. I find those false accusations.
Larry, do you want to have
So,
something to say?
so to rebut a few things, we haven't heard from an electrician until after the Building Standards Commission ordered the demolition order. And I also talked to Mr. Cornell Jones whenever he came in to give his appeal, that we couldn't do anything with electrical until after this meeting and a decision was made from the city council. Furthermore, any work that has been done over there was not inspected. And he made light of the electrical, but I'd like to show you some pictures. And Mayor, this is what it looked like when we originally went in there. And here's three of the electrical pictures that we took. Okay, those are splices up in the attic. Them splices like that are also in the walls, and there's junction boxes. It's not just junction boxes, okay? Anyway, both, which is a violation of electrical code.
But what he's showing though, I mean, like, if you see something that is perfect and you want it to be a problem, it's gonna be a problem. That's obvious. But the what he's talking about, the box, what he's not talking about is the electricity been on for 5 years.
Yeah, but Mr. Jones, he has
Right.
state code enforcement, or codes that he has to apply by. and
Right.
I'm
And that's
sure
what
that,
yes, ma'am.
I'm
Yes, ma'am.
sure that that's what he's looking at,
Yes, ma'am.
is the codes that has to be. It's not that he's looking at it and not seeing something that's not
Right,
perfect.
right. And what they asked me to do the last meeting was to get an electrician. So this is what I'm telling you, is like, it gave me a month.
The last meeting that he showed up.
Okay,
Yeah, the
yeah,
last-
because
I
the
got
last
some-
meeting was the demolition.
Yeah, so like, I got the,
Larry, can I just ask you a question? Am I understanding that from some of the information that I've read, that the building is not secure? You can still get in the building through maybe the attic, I believe it was, I can't remember, but it is not secure.
So as of today, I do believe it's secure.
Okay.
But over several months' time,
It has not been
it's
secure.
been unsecured.
Okay.
I disagree with that.
And what is this, sir?
That's just a subpoena where I had to go to court
Oh,
the
okay.
month. I was subpoenaed to get that whole, that's why I didn't come to the
I
meeting.
see.
But my thing is, like, we to the electrician. I got the deal from the electrician. He basically saying if I give him a chance, he'll do electrical. But like before the meeting, I had 2 electricians call the city, and one of them, this guy left a message, and never got a response. The other guy called, and when he gave him the, he said it seemed kind of weird because when he gave him the address, the young lady said, "Hold on." She said the inspector was out inspecting property, And when she gave him the address, when he gave her the address, she said, hold on. And when she came back, she said that, he said he'll call you back later. And this was before the meeting. And the guy felt so bad, so he actually drove over here, took the time to drive over here with me, and asked her to get a permit, and they said no. I had to take it in front of you guys. But the whole thing is the electrical need to be fixed, and I'm here to get the electricity fixed. But I don't have no control over me calling an electrical company, and they telling me we 5-6 months out. So I call like over 15 electrical companies, and I got a hold to 2 guys.
Do y'all need to hear any more, or does your other, does he want to talk, or
Yeah,
does he have anything to say, or
you
not?
talk on the drawings?
But basically, we just need an electrical permit. Yeah, that's the whole thing. We flunked our electrical permit, and we just need permission to get an electrician to fix the junction boxes and things that are wrong. And we called Larry Burge, and he said his hands were tied because it's already flunked the
Yeah, because
Board.
the building standards already made a demolition order.
Yeah, so we were just wanting permission to get an electrical permit, because we're pretty close.
My input on this is that building standards is volunteers, craftsmen, tradesmen that work in the city, that do this kind of business. They are experienced, and they've been stood up no less than 10 times without anybody to respond. And they have, from everything I see, engaged lots of long suffering and patience. And I am not about to overturn and tell them, you guys aren't doing a good job. They're volunteers. I see every effort to extend opportunity and grace, and no representative present 10 times not there, okay? So I'm going to back their decision.
And 27, I think, times that they pushed it off.
10 times, like, what do you mean?
Well, there was a lot of meetings that they pushed it to the next meeting, pushed it for things to be done that did not get done, I believe.
So I do want to rebut something else that he said. He said he only owned it for a year, but
Yeah, I
we
noticed
have
that.
the deed that he gave us from 2021.
Yeah.
This is
It says
the
in
end of
March
2023.
4th he owned it. In 2021.
Well, the thing about it is, I would put a lot of money and effort into this building, and everything they done asked me to do, I done done. You know, for as like he done flunked this dude's drawings. That took probably about 1.5 years. They told me I need an engineer. That took probably about 1 year, dang near a half. Like, and one of the guys on the board, I mean, he actually agreed with me. I was like, cause he was telling me I need engineering. And the engineer basically, they wouldn't touch nothing like this because it was so small, and they said it was architectural. But in the first, it was, I need an architect, but then when the architect bringing the drawings in, it's engineer, and the engineer telling me that they do, you know, like metal, you know, wood structures for architect. So it's like I'm jumping through these loops and I'm wasting all this time, man, it seems like it's my fault, but then I'm studying attending these meetings. So it's not like I'm just abandoning my property. If there was the case, if there was a case, I wouldn't be paying taxes on it. I don't owe 1 cent of taxes. So, you know, I'm a taxpayer just like everybody else. I mean, in the first place, I would just store equipment there. Because, you know, I have other things that I be working on also. And when the city came in, it was to inspect the roof. And when he's saying he got a warrant to inspect the building, well, I done got asbestos, everything. Well, he illegally inspected the building from the jump, and he came back with a warrant because he did it wrong the first time. So, like, the building is not up and running to be to be a danger to the public if it's got metal doors on the front and back and all the windows is in. not all brand new windows. So like, I'm not really understanding what's going on, like, if I'm paying my taxes and the building is just sitting here. It's not being ran as a club, it's not being ran as anything. It's sitting there and I'm just waiting for it to go, so I get an electrician, that's all, this is where we at. Once I get the electrician, I don't have to come to these meetings anymore, because everything I have been in compliance with. And that's where we was at the last meeting in front of the city council. They said, once you get the electricity inspected, you get a permit, then you get an inspection, you pass the inspection, you don't have to come to see us no more, Mr. Jones. You deal with Larry Bird on the rest of the stuff. So I'm just saying, we this close, I done came this far, I've been fought this hard. I mean, like, I done spent a lot of money, a lot of time. I done put my job on the line. You know, like I said, I don't stay in Borger. So every time they call me, I have to come over here. And I'm not an electrician. I'm not a contractor. A lot of this has been a learning process also, as far as how things go. You know, they tell you need a month to do this, and I call, and I'm spending all my time, and I gotta work, and I got other things going on. That's like discombobulating.
But that's your property. That's your responsibility, Mr. Jones. That's not anybody
Right.
else. I know you work.
But what I'm saying-
Let me
Yes, sir.
say, I know you work, and everybody else does too, but that is your responsibility. So don't try to put it off on the council or this Building Standards Committee or anybody else not giving you a chance. That is
Right.
your responsibility and nobody else. So I don't want to hear no more of
Basically, what
that.
I'm saying is, I done did what I can do to keep this going. I mean, 3 years is a hard fight, if that's what he's saying.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's anyone else that would like to speak on it, but I think we've heard plenty. So, I mean, I'm gonna go and close the public hearing unless there's anyone else that would like to speak. And then I'm gonna close the public hearing. And, at this time, if there's no other discussion or anything, then we will go ahead and, entertain a motion.
I move to affirm the Building Standards Commission order to remove and demolish a structure located at 603 East 11th, lots 14 and 15, Block 6, North Side addition to the city of Borger, and to adopt Resolution R-027-23, condemning the property located at 603 East 11th, lots 14 and 15, Block 6, North Side addition to the city of Borger, and require all occupants to vacate immediately from said structures.
I'll second.
All in favor? And it passes. And we'll move on to
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
item 12. Consider and take appropriate action to approve an industrial district contract between the City of Borger and Solvay Specialty Polymers USA. Mr. Spradling.
So this is the third contract that we're getting fully executed. Actually the fourth. So this one is with Solvay. The contract for the first year is valued at $358,401, and over the 7-year term of this contract, it'll generate $1,883,876 and that's supposed to be 50 cents. I just see one of my little typos. That's $1 million, not $1 billion.
We can use zero.
We figured that.
A lot of zeros add up to zero, I think.
Yeah, well, in my defense, if you look at all the numbers in the next item with all the health insurance, I might have been cross-eyed probably when I was typing this out real quick. But anyway, $1,883,876 and 50 cents in revenue to the city over the 7-year contract of the deal. So this is an increase and included in our budget. So we've had good negotiations with all of our contracts. This year I believe the city, we provided a good, reasonable offer, and really everybody's accepted them as proposed, so I'm happy about that. But I'll entertain any other questions if you might have any.
Standard.
Good job, thanks. And I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve an industrial contract between the City of Borger and Solvay Specialty Polymers USA LLC.
Second.
All in favor? passes. And we'll move on to item 13, consider and take appropriate action to approve a proposal for employee health and supplement benefits. Mr. Spradling.
So I'm going to throw this presentation up on the screen, but you've also got a printed one in front of you. And so, as you've known, you know, we got informed early on that we were looking at a 16% increase for renewal from our Texas Health Benefit Plan. You know, insurance markets have changed drastically over the last several years. And so we've been with the same insurance provider for 43 years. Now, we have not always had the same insurance. During that time, you know, TML's, what was the Texas Municipal League benefit pool, which is now Texas Benefit Pool, you know, they've adapted as much as they can over those years too, and have been a pretty good partner over that time. But now as costs continue to escalate, we felt it was in our best interest to do a little bit of due diligence and do an RFP to see what we could get bid out for our health insurance. So we sent a proposal, we got proposals back on the medical side, medical, dental, vision side, from Emeritus, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Mutual of Omaha, Renaissance, TML, and United Healthcare. Of those, the only 3 bid the actual health insurance, which was United Healthcare, which is the largest health insurance company in the country, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas, and TML. We also received some bids from Aflac, Allstate, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Mutual of Omaha, Renaissance, and TML, and United Healthcare for our supplemental voluntary insurance. We're not going to cover those in this presentation because, you know, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but the city doesn't incur those costs. We just wanted to put them in our benefit package to, you know, offer them as one. So the goal of this process was to consolidate our coverage. So right now we have 6 carriers for all of our different insurance plans, including voluntary. So that's a big burden for Michelle because each one of those has to have a different benefit code in the system. So like you've got like employee-only insurance with Aflac Cancer, employee-only insurance with Aflac Cancer and dental, employee-only insurance with employee vision, dependent dental, and Aflac. So they're actually like 1,500 benefit codes that we have to update every year. So one of our goals was to, you know, I think previous administrations have tried to been nice to, you know, employees and pretty much offer group plans for anybody that came in and wanted to offer a group voluntary plan without much regard to the administrative burden of that. So this also gave us a process to consolidate that. We're still offering the same options, but we're going to go down to one provider. And so now the employees, as they transition, will still have the benefit to keep the plans they've got. They'll just have to start paying for it instead of having it employee, the payroll deducted. But that was one of the big goals. The other
So
goal.
like if they have a Aflac Cancer, they'll just pay it themselves.
Right, so like I have an Aflac Cancer that I got when I first started with the city. The city hasn't used Aflac now in 4 years or so, maybe, well, I'm finally to that age where what I think is 4 years is like 8 years,
Yeah,
so it,
sure.
it might be longer than that, but, you know, I'll still be able to keep that, and I just have to, you know, set up payment like you would with any third-party
No,
plan.
yeah.
You know, another goal was to enhance and maintain our current level of benefits. You know, so if we could, you know, we definitely don't want to cut benefits. Benefits are a big, you know, attraction and benefit for our recruitment and retention. So this isn't all about cheap.
Right.
You know, we wanted to look at the totality of that. Of course, we wanted to reduce or maintain our current premiums for employers or employees while enhancing or maintaining those benefits. And we wanted to look at a benefit administration system that would help with open enrollment, new hires, and mid-year changes. The system that TML currently provides isn't programmed quite to help to deal with what we have set up, and so we do a lot of manual configuration. It's a lot of work on Michelle. And so when we did this, we consolidated, when we got the bids back, we went ahead and consolidated the medical plan options down to just 2 plans. We currently have 4 plans, but 89% of employees are on one of those 2 plans. So there are only 11 employees that are going to be impacted by reducing of those plans. I will say by reducing from 4 to 2 plans, we actually saw a 2% savings from the bid when we had 4 plans. because they have to factor in a certain amount of uncertainty, not knowing which plan everybody's gonna do, so having less plans actually allows for some more savings. So I think that was worth it. When we look at the quotes and how it came in, we're also gonna be able to add orthodontia benefits to our dental plan. So they'll pay 50% up to $1,500 on orthodontics for anybody that's insuring dependents, which we don't have now, so that probably won't cover all of it, but right now, we're not covering any of it, so I think most employees will appreciate that. We're gonna be able to increase our basic life benefit from $10,000 to $15,000, kind of keep up with inflation there. Our voluntary life insurance is a flat maximum of $500,000 or five times our annual salary for employees, up to $250 for the spouse, and up to $15,000 for each child. Right now, our maximum is $300,000 or 3 times the annual amount, so we're able to increase that on voluntary. The one big thing for some of our employees,
Is that where they pay?
they pay that. But the nice thing for some of our employees right now, with a group swap, with a one-time open enrollment, there is no medical disqualifiers. So in January, if anybody has never been able to get life insurance because they've been denied for medical reasons, there is no medical denial in this one-time plan switch. So that could be a very big benefit for several employees that I know that are looking at being able to pick up some life insurance for themselves. And of course, that is employee paid, but the rates are reasonable. We're also going to be able to add employer-paid long-term disability. So the city's going to pick up the cost for long-term disability. We're going to allow an employee to pay short-term disability. We chose not to cover short-term because our workers' comp and then our sick time policies and vacation policies are pretty generous. We feel that sick time and vacation should be able to cover your short-term needs until the long-term disability kicks in.
And we've not paid that before.
We
This
have
is
not
a
paid
new-
it, right.
a new
So
benefit.
when we consolidated down to 2 plans, the average plan savings for the low bid, which is United Healthcare, is 14% below our current rate. So keep in mind that the TML rate was almost a 17% increase. We budgeted for a 16% increase, so this health insurance was 14% below our current, which is a 30% savings from our budgeted amount. And so there again, 89% of our employees use one of those 2 plans. On this sheet, you see all the individual benefits. I've kind of color coded it for you. Green, so that you see 6 columns. They're divided by that gray column into the 2 plans. So everything on the left is the HRA lower deductible plan. On the right is the high deductible HSA plan. And then this has got our TML current plan, our TML renewal rate and renewal plans, and then the United proposed plan. Cells that are highlighted in green are benefits that are better than our current plan. Cells that are highlighted in red are benefits that are worse. And the one cell that is highlighted in yellow is just different. I don't consider that better or worse. So in most cases, the benefits are a little better. On the HRA plan, on the lower deductible plan, we have better out-of-network deductibles and out-of-pockets, and the same is true on the HSA plan. The copay, the big change on the copay plan is United Health has a $0 copay for children under 19 that are insured on the plan. So while the adults have a $30 copay, if you do add a dependent, there's actually a $0 copay for primary care physicians. The ER copay goes down a little bit on the HRA plan, and then one of the biggest things is with United Health, we actually have out-of-network prescription coverage that we do not have currently. So if for some reason there's a special pharmacy or some special med that you need that you can't get in network, you could get some of that covered out of network that we don't have now. But for the most part, if you really look at it, the benefits are, they're pretty close on to the same. So we're not talking about losing or reducing benefits, but we are looking at a significant decrease in price, which is going to let us change how we offer benefits, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. When you look at the dental plan was a little cheaper, not a whole lot, but the benefits are pretty much exactly the same. The biggest difference is right now we don't have an in-network dentist in town. The closest in-network dentist is in Canyon. Mutual of Omaha, Borger Smiles is in network. So if you wanted to go to Borger Smiles, they are in network with this. So that, it will pay out of network too, 90% of reasonable and customary. So if you want to keep going to your dentist, you can, go to your dentist and just do the reimbursement for your dental cost. Vision's not quite as good, apparently. That's probably the bright point of where we are now. We have a very, what they call a rich dental vision plan. Of course, Vision is also the least utilized plan that we have. So the only difference, it's not that big. Your allowances are $50 less for frames and contacts on an annual basis, so it's not a big change. Cost for employees, $10 and $82 a month, and for families, $28.12. The good thing with both of those, with what we're gonna propose, with the amount that we're saving, we are proposing, asking the council to pick up dental and vision for the employee. The city will cover 100% of employee only and will cover 50% of dependents. Right now, that is 100% employee paid. And there again, we are getting some benefit in the basic life insurance going up to $15,000. We're also able to include some retiree life insurance. So you'll be able to keep that basic life of $2,500 for a retiree. So if you retire from the city, we'll still cover, not a whole lot, but a little bit there that we don't have now. There again, we did talk about that, picking up the long-term disability, which will help if you get that long-term illness. The one thing I will say, I was going to say something and it apparently just completely
We'll talk about that later.
completely went out.
Is that a pre-existing condition? That's bad humor.
Yeah. So I guess I need to check into memory care, or there's a thing for that. But so, right now, if you go to that back page, the proposed benefit package, right now, we do a defined contribution. So every employee gets $815 a month that they then apply towards their coverage. If the amount that they cover is less than that amount, then the remainder either goes on an HRA card or an HSA card, depending on which plan you're using. The way that works out is employee onlys get money on the card. If you insure dependents, you don't get any money on your cards because it's taken up with offsetting the premium amount. So by the cost savings that we're doing, we're going to be able to switch to a more traditional reimbursement method, just percentage. So what we're proposing is to continue covering 100% of the employee-only insurance for all employees. On the HRA plan, we'll cover 60% of the employee spouse. We'll cover 70% of the employee child, or we'll cover 40% of the employee family. On the HSA plan, again, 100% of the employee only, 65% of employee spouse, 80% of employee child, and 45% of employee family. The difference is on all of those plans, if you're on the low deductible plan, everybody will get $50 on an HRA card, even if you insure dependents. On the HSA card, you will get $150 a month, even if you insure dependents. So the biggest impact are
And
those.
that has not happened.
That has not happened. Right now, if you insure dependents, you do not have any money on any card to help offset your medical expense. So right now, if you're insuring, most people that insure their family are on the HSA high deductible plan for cost reasons. So right now, that monthly cost is $809 a month for that employee, and they get no money on a card.
And that's employee and family.
Right. So
On the high deductible.
On the high deductible. So the new plan with the new pricing, that goes down to $708 a month, with us picking up 45% of the total cost. That is $102 less per month than what that employee is paying now, plus they will get $150 on their HSA card to help pay with those medical bills. Because keep in mind that HSA plan, there's no copay. So and until you meet your deductible, you're paying 100% of your medical cost. So right now, those employees have that coverage, but they've got to come up with the money to pay for their medical bills until they meet their deductible. So it's not just that cost that they're having to consider.
So the employee right now, with the 45% that the city covers, so the well, 55% is that $708.
Right.
And they're paying $814, and they're not getting any HSA a month.
Right.
And that's 150 times 12, I mean,
Right.
that's quite a bit.
It's $1,800 a year.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So by doing it this way, if you're on the HSA plan, every employee will get $1,800 a year on their HSA card to offset their actual medical needs, and what they're used to paying will be going down a little bit. Plus, we'll pick up vision and dental, 50% of dependent vision and dental, long-term disability, and increasing life.
That's great.
So what that does is the benefit package.
And a savings
Yeah.
for what we budgeted already. this
Yeah,
year.
so doing all of that should be 5% less than what our cost was this budget year, or last budget year, we're already in October. So it will be 21% lower than our budgeted amount for our current budget year. Now, some of that will, and I say estimates right here because I think we've gotten some good enough bids that it might change how many people to insure dependents.
Yeah.
And so, that will impact our costs a little bit because the only difference now is our cost is a little different
Right.
depending on which level you insure. Now, I've designed this to where the cost is within $100 a month per employee. So, right now, if you insure your family, that's the highest cost to the city. But it's only $100 more a month that we're covering than the employee only. So, it's not much different. So with this proposal, we're going down to 2 insurance providers. We're proposing United Health for health benefits. We're proposing Mutual of Omaha for dental, vision, and all supplemental insurances. We will then use a third party for the HSA and HRA card administration, which will also take care of COBRA. So they'll bill and take care of employees that leave that take our insurance over the COBRA program. And they will also handle retiree billing. So Texas Benefit Pool stopped billing retirees for their health insurance a couple months back and threw that onto us. So we're having to track down retirees and get them to pay us, and it's been a little bit of a complication. But this third party will do that. By having it set up like that, with having a separate HSA, HRA, and third-party administrator, and then your health plan and your supplemental vision dental, if we need to rebid it again in future years, to make sure, or to, be financially responsible, we can bid just health, we can bid it all, or we can bid just supplemental. If we bid just health and it changes, having a third-party HRA means your HRA cards or HSA accounts don't change. It means your dental, vision, and supplemental won't change just because we change health insurance and vice versa. So we're trying to set it up to where we can have the most flexibility in being able to maintain and manage our costs going forward as well. The biggest changes, the 2 biggest changes, will be employees that opt out. So right now, if they're on a spouse's coverage and they opt out, they're getting their full $815 a month contribution onto an HSA card. That's going to change. They will get $150. Keep in mind that for an individual, that might not be ideal, but for the city, when those employees opt out, that money's not going to offset our claim percentage. So it drives our claim percentage up, which drives our overall cost up. So while it might have been a really good benefit for them, and there's only 8 of them that decline, but now financially, with us picking up more, really, and Brandon can tell you, it's about a wash. He was on his wife's plan, but he's paying more for his, on his wife's plan, so he's, some of that money offsets that to now where with this, it's about a wash. But it's also better for our claim ratios because most people that are on somebody else's plan are healthy. And so this will be a little incremental help, but that's generally.
And I mean, if they choose to get it on this, now it's completely paid for and they get money.
Right.
So,
And that's why it's kind of a wash, by making sure that we have those contributions if we didn't have those HRA or HSA contributions,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be a complete wash for close to Washburn, it'd be a little more, it'd be a different calculation, but between that and picking up dental and vision for the employee only, generally, I think that this is pretty good.
And what was the other big change?
The defined contribution, going away from the defined contribution.
Oh, okay.
And then we will have to change HSA, HRA cards. So there's gonna be about a 30-day window where you won't be able to use your old cards while we port that money over into the new accounts and get all of that set up. The city, through TML, did use United Health before. You know, they switched to Blue Cross about 4 or 5 years ago, so most people should be familiar with the United plans. Golden Plains, Northwest, and BSA are in network with United. So while some doctors won't be, there's an 80% overlap on doctors, so 80% of the doctors will be covered by United. There is a 20% that are Blue Cross exclusives that somebody might have to switch unless they want to pay out of network costs. But that same thing happened when we went to Blue Cross, because there's also about that same 20% that are United Healthcare only. But overall, the bids would have saved us about $550,000 if we didn't change our benefit package. By changing our benefit package, we're increasing benefit costs by about $220. So we'll net about a $260,000 savings from our planned budget amount by making these switches. That's after we pay for the benefit enrollment software and the cost to administer our HRA, HSA, COBRA, and retiree benefits.
And this, you also said that the employees will have more of a portal ability than they have with the TML at this point.
Yeah, right now, you can't complete onboarding through the TML's portal because of how our system is set up and how they've got a little error in it. This one will be able to be done on that. We do have open enrollment meetings scheduled for November 1st and 2nd, you know, to talk to employees. The McGriff Services that's been helping us with this, they're making a benefit book, so we'll have a nice benefit book now that explains what all your options are and all the benefits. So I'm excited about having that, better than like a folder with some kind of overly complicated benefit explanations. But we'll have 2 meetings each day, so we'll have a chat. We'll have 4 meetings for employees to come and ask questions and get prepared for what is coming. Our plan starts January 1. So we'll need to complete open enrollment by the 1st of December to make sure that everybody's ready for December 1.
So the main thing that maybe is gonna cost employees more is those 8 employees that you're talking about. And I mean, have you, which, I mean, they would just really need to come onto this plan pretty much, because it won't cost them a thing.
They'll have to do the analysis, it's just different.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really gonna cost them anymore. It's just, you know, they might think it does, because instead of getting $800 a month on that HSA account, you know, that adds up pretty quick.
Yeah.
But they're also having to pay, in most cases, for the dependent coverage on whatever other spouse's plan they're on.
True that, yeah.
So it's just different.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that that's gonna cost anybody anything. We're not really costing anybody, the employee only is losing a little bit. Because like right now, employee only on the HRA plan, I get $133 a month on my HRA card. Now it's gonna go down to $50. That's that $100 difference where I said everything's kind of about $100, but that's what we had to do to kind of make the cost. But at the same time, right now, I don't have dental and vision.
Yeah.
And so the city's gonna pick up dental and vision, so part of that's gonna be offset by me
And
being
long-term
able to
disability,
take dental vision and long-term disability.
which is, and I know y'all have worked very hard analyzing all of this. Brandon, you, Michelle, so.
Really,
I'm
it's been a
sure
long
you've looked at
time.
everything.
It has been a long time since we've been able to go to an open enrollment meeting and say, your cost isn't going up, it's actually probably going down,
Right.
and we're gonna give you more money on a card,
Yeah.
and we're gonna give you more benefits.
To maybe 89% of the employees.
Yeah. There will be some, because 4 people are on our current low deductible plan, which is like $1,000 deductible, which will go up to a $3,000 deductible. But there again, those people that plan's so expensive, they don't get any money on an HRA.
Right.
So they'll go up to a $3,000 deductible, but they're gonna get money on their HRA.
Yeah. You know, and I mean, being from the working, you know, I mean, this is pretty normal to get, I mean, this happens most of the time, every single year for an employee, because it did with us, you know, and most of the time it wasn't they weren't looking at the employee, they were looking at the cost to the company. And weren't considered, and I know that y'all have considered the employees as best you can.
You know, we talk about this a lot, but especially in the general fund, with 60% of our costs going to employees, and employees being the ones that provide those services, our ability to recruit and retain high-quality individuals
Benefits.
impacts what we can do for our citizens.
Yeah.
And so more so than anything, we need to take care of them in as many ways as we can.
Absolutely.
And it's,
And when I mean, it's been pretty much proven with you as the administrator, honestly, when there is a savings to the budget, normally it gets paid back to the employees through a bonus or something, which is, you know, something that could totally happen.
yeah. And I'm definitely excited to save some money here. I'm definitely just excited to expand our benefits. I think everybody, you know, most everybody that I've talked to is, you know, happy. I mean, there will be some pains
Yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
will.
as we switch with anything, but I mean, most employers change, I mean, we've done, I mean, when I very first started with the city, there was one plan, and you picked your one plan. And we've changed, in my 13 or 14 years with the city, I changed plans and insurance and things probably 5 times. So it's not new. We've been lucky to be able to keep up with insurance costs for the employee only. But the last several years, dependent coverage has continued to go up, and those employees that insure dependents have continued to have to pay more. So we've been good about cost of living raises, but a lot of those employees, it immediately gets eaten up with their increased dependent coverage, so they're not really taking any more home. This year, we were lucky to give a 4% cost of living raise, and I'm gonna keep insurance rates the same or a little bit of savings. So like if you're insuring your family right now, you're about to get another $100 a month raise. In addition to the 4% you got in September, because we were able to budget that. So,
Plus typically increased coverage.
right.
So you
Now,
do have to use it.
you know, and I will, sometimes, you know, people worry that, you know, when you switch insurance, that they buy down the premium to get you to switch. And, you know, we could see a decent increase next year, but this is still a 30% decrease from what we were planning. Even if they go up 10 or 15% next year, we're still gonna be less than what we were planning this year.
Yeah.
So that puts us in a pretty good budget position going next year. Other questions? I know it's kind of a lot of complicated.
Being I've been covered by Veterans Affairs, there's one acronym I don't, because I don't deal in civilian health insurance, BAFO rates. What does the acronym stand for?
That's the, let me get back over there to that.
On the medical slide.
Yeah, that's actually the plan acronym for United Healthcare, so that's
unique to them.
it's unique to them, so if you could, like, they've got a big fancy name for that plan, First Optimum, like, I'd have to go pull the thing, but it's a marketing, that's the initials of the marketing name of the plan that they proposed.
Okay, so I don't feel quite so ignorant. I want to reiterate, I know that Brandon, you have been looking at this for months. You have earned our trust in so many areas that you have my trust in this. We do want, I despise turnover. If we have good employees, I want to keep them. And healthcare and medical is a big consideration. So thank you for your hard work on this, and I know you also don't just look at retention, although that's important. You also look at the overall cost of the city, so thank you for your hard work on this.
Yeah.
Amen.
And
Again,
Michelle too.
You've
Michelle.
earned our
Thank you.
trust.
Because the health benefits is probably one of the biggest things today for families. And anytime we can save families some money,
I think it's a good deal.
And TML for many years has been really good, and they provided, administrative support and services. It's just, that we've gotten to the point in the insurance industry to where their intangible benefits can't compensate for a 30% decrease in cost.
Okay.
And Michelle's work, I'm sorry. I see these guys. I'm not down in your realm to see you working on it. But
Yeah, Michelle's definitely had a crash course in health and
Yeah.
supplemental benefits in the last couple of months, and it never fails, and I think most cities go through this. We're kind of, it's just so complicated. It'd be nice to get more maybe employee involvement in some of this process, but we're down to where we've got to make a decision so that we can get open enrollment going, so that we can.
And our previous health provider has kind of been trying to download administration back to us that previously they had handled, and that's,
All administrative questions have to go through our HR department, which has been a big concern for us, because we're to the point that with everything that Michelle does, if we have to keep taking on that burden, I'm gonna have to hire another employee.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so even if we have to take on that burden with this, I've at least got a cost savings to help offset the cost of that additional person. Although from what we're looking like, it probably won't be, because by going to United Health directly, employees will be able to call United Health for most of those administrative issues themselves. And if they do have to go through HR, it'll be a little less.
And this commitment's for 1 year. And that's just industry-wide routine, because they won't be able to renegotiate a year, and they may go
Now,
up.
I will say that on the dental vision and all the supplemental, they did give a 2-year rate guarantee.
Okay.
So the dental vision and supplementals are all guaranteed for 2 years, so we will likely keep those for 2 years. And I think the health will at least be 2 years, depending on, we'll see what the rates come back. But we do have, like I said, we're gonna be set up to where we have some flexibility to use the market to our benefit if we need to.
If there's nothing else, then I'll entertain a motion.
I move to authorize the city manager to finalize the employee benefits package with United Healthcare and Mutual of Omaha as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? And it passes. And item 14, consider and take appropriate action to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? And it passes. We are adjourned, and we appreciate everyone that showed up. Okay, thank you.